She told the Duke of Ravenswood to his face at the most prestigious ball of the season, "I dare you to ask her to dance." He laughed. He should not have laughed. Vivienne Hale was nobody, and she knew it better than anyone in that ballroom. A lady's companion, 3 seasons past fashionable, wearing a dress that had been let out at the seams and rehemmed twice by her own hand. She had no dowry, no title, no prospects, and no illusions about any of it.
What she had was a temper she rarely let show, and tonight it was showing. Because across the room stood a young widow in unrelieved black, standing alone by the wall for the 3rd hour running. Nobody had asked her to dance. Nobody would. Vivienne had watched her rearrange the same fold of her glove 11 times, watched her pretend to admire the flower arrangements, watched the particular stillness of a woman trying very hard not to look as lonely as she felt. And beside Vivienne stood the Duke of Ravenswood, the coldest, most correct man in London. Respected, untouchable, bored on principle, the way only a man who has never once needed anyone's approval can afford to be. Vivienne turned to him before she could think better of it. "I dare you to ask her to dance."
He looked at her the way a man looks at an insect that has wandered uninvited onto his dinner plate. "I beg your pardon?" "The widow, Mrs. Ashford. No one has asked her all night, and you are standing here doing nothing useful with your evening except judging the orchestra." He laughed, a short, disbelieving sound that turned 3 heads nearby.
He agreed to the dare, mostly to watch her flush with embarrassment when he refused to actually do it. He had underestimated her. He would keep underestimating her for exactly 13 more minutes, and then never again for the rest of his life. He crossed the ballroom, and the room noticed. A duke does not cross rooms for nobody in particular. He bowed to Mrs. Ashford with perfect, unhurried correctness. He asked her to dance. The orchestra, sensing drama, played a little louder. But halfway through the set, he found himself looking past his partner's shoulder, back to where Vivienne had been standing, expecting to catch her smug satisfaction at having won her little game. She was not watching him at all. She had already been claimed for the next dance by some unremarkable second son, laughing at something he'd said, entirely unconcerned with whether the Duke of Ravenswood had done as he was told or not. This should not have bothered him in the slightest. It bothered him considerably, and he could not, for the life of him, work out why. He finished the dance, returned Mrs. Ashford to her seat with the correct bow, went to find Vivienne. She was gone. He spent the next hour looking for her at a ball he had planned to leave an hour ago. He told himself it was a matter of unfinished manners. He did not believe himself, not even a little.
He found her in the garden, sitting on a stone bench in the dark, eating a stolen pastry out of a napkin with no apparent shame whatsoever. "You," he said, "are supposed to be at the ball. You're supposed to be dancing with someone who actually wants to dance with you. We're both disappointing people tonight, Your Grace." He sat down beside her without invitation. She did not move away, which surprised him more than it should have. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Nobody important." She offered him a piece of the pastry. He did not take it, though his eyes lingered on it a beat too long. Then why the dare?
She considered this properly, licking a crumb from her thumb before answering. Because someone was being unkind by doing nothing at all, and I was tired of watching it happen and saying nothing myself.
No one else was going to say anything, so I did. He had never once, in 31 years, met anyone who spoke to him as though his title were an inconvenient fact rather than the only fact about him that mattered. They talked for 2 hours about nothing important. Her opinions on the orchestra, his grudging opinion on garden follies, a genuinely heated argument over whether pastry was an acceptable substitute for supper. He did not notice the candles burning low until a servant came, apologetically, to snuff them. He left that night without learning her surname, and it needled him the entire carriage ride home. He spent 3 days trying to find her. No family name recorded anywhere useful, no address of her own, only companion to an unnamed household, which turned out, infuriatingly, to describe half the companions in London. By the time he found the right house, she was packing. Her employer was removing to the countryside for the summer, and Vivienne was going with her, quietly, without ceremony, the way companions always disappeared once a season ended. He arrived at the door himself. No footman announced him, no card was sent ahead. He had never in his life arrived at a door without being announced. He knocked anyway.
"You're here," she said, which is either very romantic or very inconvenient. I genuinely haven't decided which. He offered her nothing practical. No solution to the difference in their stations, no clever legal arrangement, no dowry conjured from thin air. I have not stopped thinking about the woman who dared me to be decent for one evening. I came to dare you back. What's the dare? Marry me, and spend the rest of your life making me better than I was the night we met. She looked at him for a long moment, weighing it the way she weighed everything, without hurry, without performance. Then she reached back into the trunk, retrieved the last of a pastry she'd wrapped for the journey, and finished it without rushing. "Yes," she said, licking a crumb from her thumb. "Obviously, yes.